there is no window, if there's no place to put the ball, that's a problem too. But you're right, the quarterback, and it seems like Hugh Freeze was really on wanting that ball to come out at a certain moment, or at least before a certain point. It hadn't been there.
And look, I
don't know how much improvising the receivers were doing too, because it felt like there was a little bit of like, all right, we'll run your route
and then
run your route and then get open. And if that means because we saw sometimes they might cut it inside, they might come back to the front of the end zone. And so
it felt like on a couple of those, and look, I don't have the play videoed. I don't have it all. Like can't see everything at once. I did.
They weren't wearing the Ray-Bans with the cameras.
I did think though, Dan, like those plays that got Freeze frustrated, I did think there might have been some to me it's just at least some hesitation, right?
Sure.
Where it's like in a drill like this, instead of hesitating, just fire that thing in there. And I think Auburn needs to be one of the biggest issues I would have watching Auburn's offense and what's gone wrong for them the last 2 seasons under Hugh Freeze is I feel like when Auburn got into the red zone, especially last year, there's this tendency everything gets so tight and amped up and anxious, and it just you could see it on the sidelines, you could kind of feel it, you could see just the pressure on it, and you had no end product. It wasn't a team playing loose and playing free in there. And look, throwing the ball in the red zone is tough, and Auburn's got some incredibly good DBs. Here's the thing: outside of Blake Woodby, all those DBs look healthy, like 100% healthy, and Woodby's still out there practicing right now at corner. Those wide receivers are banged up. You didn't have your best one in terms of production with returning production and Singleton and all that. And I just think Auburn needs to be an offense with Jackson Arnold. If they're talking about getting the ball out quick and being confident in the decision making and go where the play is, that's where they got to be, because the last 2 seasons. And some of this is Peyton Thorne. Some of this is just the offense in general. A lot of it comes back to the coaching staff because they're the ones in charge of all of it. It just felt like Auburn just got too uptight and too tense and just couldn't pull the trigger. And I'm not saying throw it into danger all the time, but like when you're a team that has struggled this much in the red zone, and it just seems kind of like a function of everything's just been too, it can get really frustrating if you feel like you've got the call and like it's not happening, and it's just getting bottled up again.
Hugh Freeze's frustration in that specific moment probably came from the belief that there was a window, there was somewhere that ball.
He said after practice, he said, "We call the play; it was supposed to go there, and it didn't go there," and that's what's frustrating because it should have been a touchdown.
I would say the bright spot, and I think and Jackson's had some really sharp moments.
Look at it.
In preseason.
I will say real quick. In a normal play, if he doesn't feel confident, he can just tuck the ball and go, but you can't do that in this drill.
Yep. That's something to keep in mind, throughout Auburn practicing red zone stuff. This I'm
not going to say Auburn's offense has been practicing with one tied behind their hand behind their back, but they are at a disadvantage in a number of ways that have nothing to do with the talent level and the execution right off the bat. There's some things with the way defense goes, the way offense goes, and all that, and I think, like we were talking about, just not being able to run hurts as well. Now, do they need to be better? Yes. I mean, Freeze has talked about he feels like the offense should be a lot sharper in their execution right now.
There's a broader point to make, though, which is, I think like it's interesting to assume anything about this Auburn offense because the talent level is what it is. Auburn's probably, especially as an offense, in the top half of the conference as far as where personnel people would say especially the starters, belong if you're ranking the league. But when you bring in a new quarterback, even someone who's played SEC football before, and you lose a player as important as Jarquez Hunter was to last year's team, like those are 2 positions, huge positions on the offense where there's still quite a bit of mystery as to what exactly you're going to get this year. And that's, I mean, when you think about, well, you have an idea, but you're not really sure what you're going to get out of your quarterback as a passer, and the group of running backs are exciting but largely